Yo, what's up, sports bettors? Tons of value out there for the Lakers game. So I'm going to be taking you through 5 player props, really good player props. So let's just go ahead, let's get into it. So my first play is on Anthony Davis, right? I found this play on the sportsbook screen, which basically just lets you browse a market in a sport. So we're currently looking at NBA player assists, but MLB strikeouts, whatever you want to look at. But long story short, when I'm using this tool, I'm looking for discrepancies, right? Where are sportsbooks setting the line at different levels? And what you're going to notice is AD's assist line is 3 on No House Advantage, which is the platform where I have these player props. On Prize Picks, it's 2.5, as well as every single sportsbook, right? So you're going to see right here as we kind of scroll through every data point, every sportsbook posting odds has AD's line at 2.5 assists, right? You look throughout the market, Underdog, Caesars, all these books, Prize Picks, they all have AD's line at 2.5. No House Advantage is at 3. FanDuel, all the sports books, right? OddsJam is just reading in all that data. All these books, right? You can see right here, they all have AD's line at 2.5. So we want to take the under. No House Advantage, they're at 3. Every other book's at 2.5. They're too high. We want to take the under. So that's the first player prop I went with. The sportsbook screen is pretty cool. Basically, I just use it. I kind of hunt throughout the market. I look for discrepancies between these different fantasy platforms because typically, right, like Jaylen Brown is a perfect example. Parlay play, Underdog, Prize Picks, all the books. Everyone's got his line at 3.5. No major discrepancies in the odds. There's no value in the market. So we don't want to touch Jaylen Brown assists with a 10-foot pole, right? There's no value. As a sharp bettor, we're hunting through the market looking for value. There was value on Davis, no value on Jaylen Brown right now. So you can look at whatever market you want, but that's the first player prop that I went with. So another thing is No House Advantage. I mean, I know I talk about it, but it's really important to understand because these fantasy sites are really growing in popularity. So I had some plays on Prize Picks I gave out earlier today. But basically the way all these platforms work is they offer fixed payouts, right? So No House Advantage, in a 5-pick entry, you go 4 for 5, you get a 2.6x payout right here, right? You go 5 for 5, you get a 12x payout. Doesn't matter if you switch these to overs, unders, doesn't matter if I remove this pick and I take Russell over 16 points, whatever. Any 5-pick entry you create, here are the payouts you get. So if you basically back out, okay, I know how No House Advantage pays out. What percentage of my player props do I have to win to be profitable? It's 53.22%. So if you just bang the chair, but if you can hit, right, 53 over 53.22% of your player props, you're going to be profitable. Most people, they don't have an advantage, right? Most people don't know how to bet on sports. They can't get an edge over the sports books and beat them long term. So most people, they're not going to be able to select their over-unders correctly, that percentage of the time. Like D'Angelo Russell, over-under 19.5 points plus rebounds. Most people can only get these over-unders correctly 50% of the time. If you have no advantage, right, you're only going to be able to win these 50% of the time. And that's the business model of No House Advantage, as well as Prize Picks, right? These fixed payout platforms, on all these platforms, you have to win over 50% of your player props to be profitable. And most people, they just can't do it. They can't select over-unders correctly above 50% of the time. That's why most people lose money on Prize Picks, No House Advantage. That's why these books are in business, right? So essentially, a tool that I use to find player props that are winning over 3.22% of the time is the OddsJam Positive EV tool. So what this tool does is it scans the market. You can see there's value on Fliff. There's some value on Prize Picks. All the profitable bets are just in green and in bold. So you can see there's a ton of value on Fliff. This is a new sports book, kind of new platform. It's available in most locations, and there's just a lot of profitable bets on it. But long story short, what you can see is for Curry, so this is a second player prop I went with from the Positive EV tool, all the sports books have his under 6.5 assists heavily favored. Right? FanDuel has it at minus 174 right here, right? The under's a heavy favorite. So if you look tonight, for example, at, let's just say, the game, the Lakers are favored, right? They're minus 154 favorites. The market, the data points, all the supply and demand, all the bets people are placing, right? The Lakers are the favored team. they're favored to win the game. And it's no different here. You're using sportsbook odds. This is an extremely profitable play, 10.32%, because all the books, every sportsbook is telling you, yo, Curry's a lot more likely to go under as opposed to over. And OddsJam is just really reading in this data. So if you go to player assists, what you're going to notice is if we go down to Curry, right, it says under 6.5 assists is minus 172. All OddsJam is doing is reading it in this data. So it looks like it slightly moved since I hit the refresh button. So you just hit the refresh button to update the plays. But every book is telling you, yo, Curry's a lot more likely to go under as opposed to over. And because on No House Advantage, this platform, they don't change your payouts based on you selecting over or under. The strategy for beating them is find spots where books have an under or an over really heavily favored. In this case, it's Curry's under 6.5 assists. So just following the data, right? Nothing complicated. And then you can see, is there any other picks from the EV tool? Yeah, there is, right here. So we have Dustin May, over 4.5 strikeouts. Why are we taking the over for May? Why are we betting on May? Because that's where the value is, right? So you're going to see every sportsbook has Dustin May's over heavily favored. So this is a sharp bet, a great MLB pick to go with in your No House Advantage entry. So basically, that's all I do, right? And you can use this fantasy optimizer tool. So this fantasy optimizer tool is just going to show you player props that are winning above 53.22% of the time on No House Advantage. Prize Picks, it works. Underdog, it works for all these different fantasy platforms. I find a lot of my Prize Picks player props on this. But basically, it just quantifies, hey, you know, all the books have Curry's under, really heavily favored. They all have May's over 4.5 strikeouts as the heavily favored outcome. So we know May, he's more likely to go over as opposed to under. So he's over 50% to go over 4.5 strikeouts. According to the betting market, according to the data points, May is a lot more likely to go over as opposed to under. Pinnacle Sportsbook, sharpest bookmaker in the world, they have his over all the way up at minus 151 odds. So we know May is more likely to go over. So what this fantasy screen does is it just quantifies that, right? So you can see here, Curry's under, heavily favored on all the books. So the reason this play is so profitable in an entry is because all the sports books have the under so heavily favored. It's 59.37% to win, which is well above 53.22%. So what I ended up going with on No House Advantage, without further ado, to get into some of the picks, is May over 4.5 Ks, LeBron over 15 assists plus rebounds, AD under 3 assists, Wiggins under 17.5 points, Curry under 6.5 assists. So hopefully you guys, found this video helpful. Try to make them helpful, educational, kind of explaining how to beat these different platforms. And let's go. Let's make some money. Big game, game 3, Lakers, Warriors. What's better than that? Let's get it, guys.